Every year, the NBA season features a small number of teams that are capable of providing the elite squads with a challenge during the regular season, despite most people counting them out, and aim to make it through the first few rounds of the playoffs to earn the respect of the basketball world. And last year was no exception, as the Indiana Pacers were among the teams that managed to play better than expected and were even capable of finishing with the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. However, a disappointing end to their season at the hands of the Miami Heat led to the firing of coach Nate McMillan. And now, looking to get over the hump in the following season, they've decided to replace him with Nate Bjorkgren. But who's exactly Bjorkgren? Where does he come from? Most importantly, how can he help the Pacers win? Welcome to Courtside. Today, we're taking a look at the Indiana Pacers' latest move to try to determine whether it might help them finally get out of the first round of the playoffs. Despite never having been a powerhouse in basketball, the Pacers have been a competitive team for the better part of their existence, starting from the years in which they were winning championships in the ABA and going all the way to the modern era in the NBA, where they've made the playoffs more often than not. Their first era of success came in the 90s with the help of Reggie Miller, who guided the team out of the first round of the playoffs for the first time in the franchise's 18 seasons playing in the NBA, and who would take them to the 2000 finals under the guidance of Larry Bird. Their second and most recent era of success came a few years ago when a young Paul George emerged as a star in the league and helped Indiana make back-to-back conference finals appearances, where they were able to put a good fight up against LeBron James and the Miami Heat. And since then, things haven't been going as good for the team. Following a season in which they finished with the best record in the East, most people expected the Pacers to remain as championship contenders in the coming years. However, the summer of 2014 would mark a turning point for the franchise. In August of that year, George suffered a catastrophic injury that took him out for almost a year, and without him, the Pacers struggled and weren't capable of making the playoffs. Still, while things improved when PG came back and regained his form, the team was not the same it was during its run to the conference finals, and after being eliminated in the first round in consecutive seasons, they traded George to Oklahoma City in exchange for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. In their first season without PG, the Pacers surprised everyone by finishing with the 5th seed in the East and taking the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games during their first-round series. The team seemed to be on the rise in the following season, but they couldn't get over an injury to Oladipo and were swept in the first round. Then, in the next year, they again surprised everyone, this time with Sabonis taking a step forward as the team awaited the return of Oladipo. But once again, they were forced to play without their best player in the playoffs, as Sabonis was unavailable because of injury, and Oladipo wasn't yet at full strength. The loss cost Nate McMillan his job as the head coach of the team, despite having signed an extension just a couple of weeks earlier. And while injuries limited the team in their last 2 playoff appearances, the fact that they were swept in 3 of their last 4 seasons was unacceptable to the team. But now, after almost 2 months of searching, the Pacers announced that Nate Bjorkgren would be the one calling the plays from now on. And in case you're wondering who he is, well, you're probably not alone. Like the Pacers themselves, Bjorkgren is the kind of person that's not a household name, but he's always putting in the work, which is the reason why Indiana trusted in him despite not having previous experience as a head coach in the NBA. Still, that doesn't mean he lacks coaching experience. In fact, he's been doing that for the better part of his life. After playing in college and graduating, Nate started his coaching career at the high school level, and after a few years, he had established himself as one of the best high school coaches in Arizona, winning multiple awards in 2005 and 6. Still, his goal was to coach pro players, and he decided to look for an opportunity to do it, even if it wasn't there at the moment. During his college career, he had the chance to play under Nick Nurse at the University of South Dakota. So, when he learned Nurse became the head coach of the then Iowa Energy and the D-League, he called his former coach asking for a chance to become his assistant. However, there was a problem as Nurse already had an assistant in place and didn't have the means to bring in an additional assistant coach. Still, Bjorkgren was determined to prove himself by any means necessary. And eventually, Nurse decided to take him in as an unpaid volunteer assistant. At first, Nurse wasn't sure if Bjorkgren would be much of a help, but he soon realized that his new assistant was as dedicated as anyone and was a great compliment for him, which made the two develop a close friendship over the next few years. During his first 3 years as an assistant, Bjorkgren had to take a part-time job to pay the bills, but by his 4th season, he became the team's official assistant coach and never looked back. That season, the duo guided Iowa to its first ever D-League championship, which would help Nate earn a job as the head coach of the Dakota Wizards, who were later renamed as the Santa Cruz Warriors. By his second season with the Warriors, he guided the team to the championship round, where he would lose against Nurse's new team. In the next few years, he received more opportunities as a head coach in the Development League before earning a promotion to the NBA. In 2015, he was hired by the Phoenix Suns as part of Jeff Hornacek's staff, and while Hornacek and most of his staff were fired a few months into the season, Bjorkgren remained as a part of the team until October of 2017. After that, he joined the Toronto Raptors as part of their advanced scouting department. And then, when his longtime friend Nick Nurse was promoted to the head coach position, he quickly received a call to become one of the Raptors' assistant coaches. On their first season together in Toronto, the duo made history by guiding the Raptors to their first championship ever, making them the first coach and assistant coach to win both an NBA and a D-League title. Then, in the following season, they managed to keep the team among the best in the league despite the departure of Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and were on the edge of making their second consecutive trip to the Eastern Conference Finals. But now that Bjorkgren has become a head coach, how will he be able to help the Pacers get better? Well, if you look at Indiana's current situation, you may believe there's not much to be done given they don't have a proven superstar. But if you take a deep look at their roster, you might notice their overall talent should be enough to at least get them out of the first round. Its starting lineup is composed of two All-Stars in Sabonis and Oladipo, a player that had an incredible offensive display inside the bubble in TJ Warren, and two quality starters that could be the second or third option in any other team in Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner. On top of that, they have some good complementary pieces that can provide scoring off the bench and step into the starting lineup if any of the starters aren't available. But while this team should probably be one of the best on offense, it's actually been one of the worst in the league, making up for it with its great defense. And while injuries have been a factor in their last two seasons, the team had enough talent in both situations to at least avoid being swept. But one of the main things that stopped them from getting more wins is that they could become predictable on offense, and that's where Bjorkgren could shine next season. While his relationship with Nurse is a close one on the friendship level, it's safe to say he shared enough time with him to learn a thing or two about the things that can help a team win games, especially in close situations. The Raptors were able to win the 2019 championship and remain as an elite team, in large part because they were able to mix things up on both ends of the court. And if they needed to put the balls in the hands of a role player to make a key shot, they could also do that. All of that added to their unpredictability as a team, which is part of the way they win games. The Pacers, on the other hand, have mostly followed a script over the last 4 years, and when their most creative scorers have gone down, they've been unable to make up for it. For example, in the bubble, they allowed Warren to shoot more often, which helped spread the offense, but that was a consequence of not counting with Sabonis. Then when the playoffs started and the Heat took some shots away from TJ, Indiana couldn't make the right adjustments to get itself into what was supposed to be the first round's most competitive series. But Bjorkgren has already talked about how he sees the Pacers working together to create more shots, get more people involved with the ball, and get more often to the free throw line while also shooting more three-pointers. On defense, he also wants to see his players moving more often, and if he's able to get most out of his players on that end of the court, then the Pacers should play even better defense than they did before, considering the talent they have. And while it may not seem like such an important thing, he's made an emphasis on creating solid relationships with his players, something that's fundamental to developing a winning culture. And in the case of Indiana, it could help them make of Turner and Sabonis an excellent big men duo, or convince Oladipo to stay after next season. Overall, the Pacers situation is not the worst. In fact, it's similar to where the Raptors were before surging as a contender in the East. And it's not too crazy to think they could reach a level of success similar to that of Toronto or Miami, considering the roster they have. All they need is someone capable of making their pieces fit together on the floor to the best of their abilities. And if Bjorkgren is capable of implementing all the things he's learned during his career, next season could be the one when Indiana finally makes it out of that first round. But now, do you think the Pacers have what it takes to challenge the top teams in the East? Do you believe a new coach is going to unlock a new level for them? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.